Ready? Yep, we're live.
Okay. Wednesday, March 13th, 2024. Time is 3:07. Called to order. Roll call.
Council
Please.
President Kaiser.
Here.
Councilmember Christiansen.
Here.
Councilmember Murray.
Here.
Councilmember O'Meara.
Here.
Okay, action item.
First action item, council, we have an agenda before us. Any questions? All right, then I move we approve the agenda posted March 11th at 4:30 PM.
As stated.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Number one, consider approving mayor's appointment of Monica Hobbs as city administrator / city clerk.
Pledge of allegiance.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
We did. We can.
We can.
Yeah, it just,
Sometimes in these short ones, we forego it because typically we don't have anybody here.
That'd have been a heck of a thing for the guys who were fighting for us.
Well, yeah, that is
so
true.
let's take a moment and do that proudly. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay.
All right. So Mayor Jackie already called action item 1, mayor's appointment, Monica Hobbs, city administrator. Council thoughts? I'll start it. Then we can go down the line however you guys want to do it. So I've reached out a little bit to Mayor Jackie about it. I'm concerned, looking at qualifications, personal experience. Not seeing it at the city level, not seeing it at any administrator or any government type level, which was one of the first things we talked about or was the first things posted on the job. So I had my questions with that. Was pointed out to me, our treasurer, kind of not, in my opinion, not in the same realm, but didn't have experience at the city level either, nor we have planning and zoning council, you name it, do it. So, but I still have concerns, day-to-day operations, for someone to come in and fulfill that role. If the mayor's absent, that's who people turn to make decisions, and not understanding what that role looks like. That's my concerns.
First, thank you for coming, and sometimes it's not, conversations aren't always easy. I'll just draw the minimum qualifications on the posting are 10 years of leadership or involvement with government or any industry that is an integral component of local government business. Regardless what may have happened in the past, that was on the minimum qualification for the job posting. And again, and I read through the resume carefully 2 or 3 times. I didn't see any reference to having direct leadership with employees or having any experience within a city organization. And in fact, you know, honestly, I read through the resume carefully and didn't see really any mention of anything regarding like the comp plan laws associated with the city, county, state, experience with any of that, leadership in terms of leading HR issues, leading employees, and et cetera. So again, regardless of what's happened in the past, I'm measuring the resume I see in front of me as compared to the posting and the job requirements and the responsibilities on the posting.
Councilmember Murray?
I'm going to go the city clerk route. City administrator isn't required under state code. There's only 3 positions that are. It's the clerk, the treasurer, and the attorney. And the clerk fulfills a very important role.
And so when we posted this job, I kind of assumed that our applicant pool would have deputy city clerks from, Meridian or Eagle, things like that. And I don't, just as Rob and Mark stated, I don't see any experience that would lead to an understanding of what the role of a city clerk is. If there had been experience, like I said, as a deputy city clerk, then that would be valid. It's a big concern to me. It's required by state law, very specific functions, and if the job is done incorrectly, can have very large consequences for the city in terms of record keeping, disposal of records, things like that, so.
I'm sure that Jackie's probably interviewed Monica extensively, but looking through your resume, I have to agree with the rest of the council that I don't see anything in here that really promotes experience within the government entities. She's obviously very educated, but I'm sorry, but a bachelor's in music therapy really doesn't shake my tree as far as government experience. I've hired and fired a lot of people over the years, and this is probably the most flamboyant application or resume I've ever seen. Highly qualified, but I don't think she's highly qualified for government experience. So I'm a little concerned about it. Perhaps you could speak to it and let us know your feelings on this.
So where do we begin? We had around 50 applicants.
Okay?
We narrowed it down to 5, and when I say we, eliminate me from the we.
Okay.
I decided that since I had been mayor for such a short period of time, that I needed to consult the experts, and so I consulted Jason and Wendy and Roberta. And they went through all the applications, they narrowed them down, they set up the interviews. I sat quietly and observed during the interviews, and then they came to me with their choice, and they all three agreed 100% on their choice, and then leaning towards their expertise, I agreed with them.
Okay.
They have a better understanding of what is needed, what we've had, where we're going, and the expertise that is needed, and so I bow to their expertise.
Mayor Hutchinson, any thought to people internally? Progressing
Yes.
them forward? Have they
Yes,
interviewed?
that was
Have they been
where-
given an opportunity?
I absolutely started with internally, and I actually spoke with Becky herself on that. And she felt that there was not anybody internally at this moment in time. There is somebody that I am looking to promote over the next 9 months to 12 months to assist our city clerk, and that person has been spoken to. And because I believe in promoting in-house, I believe that when someone is with a company or a business or a city for a long time, they need to have serious consideration, and that has been taken care of.
Okay, so how would you respond to the concern that the applicant, and again, I'm very sensitive to the fact you're here, but it is that the applicant doesn't meet the minimum qualifications or requirements of the position. There may have been 50 applications, but my experience, and I've hired many, many people over the years, like you have, and my experience is that if we hire somebody into a position that is not qualified for it, there are lots of things that come in a negative for both the applicant and the position and the coworkers because of that.
So when you're hiring somebody in an office of a handful of employees, there's 3 things you have to think about. One is, how are they going to fit in? What kind of drama could they possibly cause? And, or are they qualified, are they intelligent enough to take in all, I mean, the person that held the position prior to her had a high school diploma and 12 years of understanding in the works of this city. A lot of knowledge that she took with her, and we are all grateful for her years of service. The person that you have before you is very, very articulate and very, very smart. Her limits on her application was one that I found almost encouraging. Some of them, the resumes were 20 pages long. I like a resume that's 1 or 2 pages and gets to the point. Her time into it, I'm not sure if I said that right, was extensive in leadership roles, and she dealt with all kinds of government agencies and all kinds of people all around the United States in all different forms as she moved up in the country, in the company. So once again, listening to those experts that work at City Hall, I agreed with them that this was the #1 choice. Will she be in a learning position for the first 60 days? Most likely, just like all of you are the first 60 days you were councilman. I feel, after listening to my 3 consultants, if you may, that she is more than qualified. And after running the city for 3 weeks without the last person, we are more than qualified to teach her the ropes, and I feel she's going to slip into this position easily and without any bumps.
Well, I think you just restated the concern right there. You're going to have someone at the head of the city answering only to you, who will have to be taught virtually every facet of the position by those under her, because there's no relevant experience.
I already spoke to all of that, but if I was to rehire the person that left 3 weeks ago, it would take us 2 weeks to get her up to what has happened over the last 3 weeks. There is no perfect scenario which you describe that with the applicants that applied would have fit in. Just as when you became city councilman, you had to learn things. I've had to learn things. Some people are adept at learning quicker than others, and after consulting the 3 heads of departments at City Hall, I agree that she is more than intelligent and quick-minded to be able to handle that position. Otherwise, I would still be looking. Yes, sir.
Mayor Hutchinson, just out of curiosity, I guess, to solve my own concerns, could you tell me why Monica left Intuit? I mean, did the company
You'd
fold?
have to ask
or-
Monica.
Okay. Monica, would you mind answering that question?
Very close to the report.
Yeah, great question. I have, my mother-in-law was very ill. In fact, she just passed away at the beginning of February. And came a decision where my husband and I had to decide who's going to take care of her. He works for a large company as a project manager, so he's in the office. He couldn't. I was working from home. And at the time, she needed a lot of care. So I had to step away from my job and care for her.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it wasn't as long as I wanted to care for her. She got really sick. And so now, getting back into the job field again, I was asked the question of, why don't I want to go back to Intuit, or why don't I want to go back into a digital company, technology? That's what I'm really good at. That's where I have all my experience. But being away from it, technology is not something that I was passionate about. I was good at it, and I moved up, and I did well. But looking back, I've always been kind of a small town girl. The town that we moved from was really small. I had a business there, and really want to help something that's people-based, affects day-to-day life of people. And so that's why I left, and that's why I don't want to return.
Understandable. I see on your resume here that you generated $3 million in revenue. Do you think you can generate that for our city? Because we can sure use it.
I will try. I will do my best, yes.
Water treatment areas especially.
Yeah, actually, we can use about 75.
Actually, I need 200 million.
Ooh, ouch. You got a big job ahead of you, girl.
Jason, would you like to speak?
Sure. I think my platinum card goes that high.
Mayor referred to Roberta and Wendy and I, and I'd be glad to maybe speak for us as a start, but be glad to let them fill in. I too went into an interview. They had a first interview. Monica had interviewed with, I think, Wendy and Roberta and the mayor earlier in the week, and they scheduled a second follow-up interview, which I was invited to. I took a look at the resume and had very great concerns, exactly the same ones you guys did about she really hasn't had municipal experience on the government side of things, and I had some questions lined out to talk to her about those things. In the interview, I came across that we have a great find here. I think her management skills will fit in very well with our group here. Some of the things that may not be real apparent that came out in the interview. She has done some work with employee intervention, employee retention, improving employee productivity stuff for some disgruntled or unengaged employees, and came out really positive on that. She has done a lot of customer interaction stuff. You could tell from the way she was interacting with us and responding to some of the questions we asked about how would you interact with a disgruntled or hostile employee. She had excellent answers for that. Her background comes from, she started, I think, in the customer service division at Intuit, taking calls from customers and people wanting to cancel their Intuit subscription or whatever, and how she would talk to them and relate to them and communicate with them. Really good answers. I think those skills will translate very well into the types of roles she's got here. Both the customer interactions and the ability to interact with the clerks that she'll directly supervise and then the other directors that she'll be overseeing. As far as, she also has experience directly interacting with their board and the commissioner, and I think that will interact well with how we operate with the city council and a mayor. So she has some very good skills there that, some tact and some just management ability to communicate that will serve her well. So I think those were some of the things that impressed me real well. I know she doesn't know government yet. I think we can easily get her through that. Roberta knows the planning side very well. Wendy you have a very experienced financial person that knows the books very well. You have an experienced police chief that can help her learn that side of things, and I think Public Works and the municipal services side, we can guide her through the parts that she doesn't learn. She'll learn very quickly. Of the realm, as I look back on the city administrators I've worked with, I think she probably follows the Becky Croft's track the best. And she came out of a public sector where she had some experience in management and was able to translate those skills very quickly into a city hall environment and learn. And so I think you'll see a similar pattern here, that the management skills are there, the communication skills are there, the experience in human resources are there. Another aspect that she highlighted was her ability to dive in and learn and research things. Even today she's talked about how she's researched things since our interview last week. I think that will pay dividends for us very much. And I'm going to leave my comments there.
Mayor, may I?
Absolutely.
I'm just going to talk kind of as Roberta.
Name, please.
What I would do if I were hiring somebody. I think it is far more important to hire a person who has innate skills, innate intelligence, somebody I would want to see every day and not be irritated, more than somebody with knowledge. I can see a highly trained person and there'll be a less trained person, but I like this person better to work with 24/7 practically. I'm taking the lesser trained person any day. And so when I looked at all the resumes and there's just a dearth of talent out there. Nothing that would know all the depths of sewer, water, human resources, management, building, utilities. I mean, every day at the city is a brand new day. New things hit me every day. New things hit Becky every day. She couldn't even be prepared. So I was much more interested in a person that could learn the city and fast, who could speak publicly, who could handle management of quite a few people on all kinds of different levels. And I really didn't care that much about what that person knew. Honestly, I did not care. And because I, first of all, don't think we're gonna find a person that knows all that you need to know. And I will tell you this too, I know a lot of city administrators, county administrators, people who work in other governmental entities that know a lot. They know this much. I would not ask you to hire them. I would not want to work with them. But they do know a lot. So I think there's other considerations here. And if we let Monica Hobbs go by this time and we go back to the drawing board, I don't know if we are actually going to find somebody with that depth of knowledge, but with innate intelligence, innate speaking ability, organization, time. We need somebody who can push projects, is time and organizational guided. There are other people here in the city even that have a lot of knowledge, but maybe lacking in organizational skills, time management skills, which are so critical for this job. And I really do believe that Monica has that. The rest, she can learn. Honestly, she can learn. Nothing here is all that hard. I don't think anything here is that hard. It's just, can you organize? Can you lead? Do you have a vision? And you just have to almost go by your gut in a way. When you spend time with Monica, you just go like, she's probably the best that we're gonna find by now. But we will go back to the drawing board if you want. I just don't know if we're gonna find anything better. I don't know.
Roberta, Jason, Wendy, can I ask you guys some questions?
Sure.
First is, we all have to start somewhere.
Right?
And I like your AI background. Maybe you can write an AI for us that solves all of our problems. Yeah. Got a year?
I am Mark.
Pardon me, what did you just do?
Mark as a robot?
I am Mark. But I fall back to just, I hear what you're saying. Been there, done that. 35 years, I've hired lots of employees. And I hear what you're saying. Leadership is a key to a lot of stuff. And totally on board, and I get the sense that you're a good leader too. Learning things is my comment, just for your consideration, is the minimum qualifications say 10 years. And the pay scale is pretty robust for somebody with that experience. And so what's the reason for that 10 years? Is it that we hire people off the street to do some of the things that are in the requirement? Again, I'm not naysaying, I'm just food for thought. The other side of this is that we set those minimum requirements and we set the salary to support someone with the experience of what it is that we're talking about here to walk in the door, along with leadership and some of the tenets and some of the things that you talked about. Again, fully on board with it. I mean, like I say, we all started somewhere, and you guys, I mean, I know all of you, and us too, have graduated from here to here, and we've learned. So it's very important what you said. But again, I fall back on that 10 years. So kind of a tandem question to that is I don't know myself, what is the review period for a new employee?
Well, I think normally in the past
Would
that
we,
there
given
has
no
been-
experience, would we want to consider
There's been like a 90-day probation.
A review period or a feedback period.
This is an appointment, so Rob Geiser might know a little bit about
You
that.
see, and that's the thing is, appointments are appointments, so then the review period falls on us, as far as I'm understanding. So now, we become the review board. And to kind of piggyback on what he's saying is, when I looked at the qualifications and I looked at the salary grade, and I understand what you're saying.
Right.
We can teach. But you came with some experience in your field. It's not like I just walked out there and picked a guy walking down the road to do this job, right? I mean, that's why we had this. The minimum, this was the minimum, this is the salary to meet that minimum. So the problem we have is, as I see it, is either if we're not hitting the minimum because that's not the applicant pool, then the salary has to meet what we're doing.
Jason, do you want to speak?
I would.
Well, before we move on to that, I'm talking to you from us as a budgetary standpoint. When I look at the budget and doing things, and if we're paying people, if this is what you're starting at, and I said, you gotta have 10 years and I'm gonna pay you in this window. Well, guess what? You come in with 0 years. Where is that, how do you fit that window?
It's a good point.
I can't explain that to the next person walking down the road, personally. So that's where I have a huge hang up on my side. Sorry, Jason. Oh, Councilman Murray, please go.
Well, wait a minute, could we answer this question and then
Yeah.
move on to the next one?
Well, I don't know if there's an answer.
Well, possibly there is.
Let me give you an opinion.
Okay.
I was searching for a public works director job for a long time, and since I've gotten this one, I tend to get lots of ads and kind of in the circle on the LinkedIn group of all the job searching for public work directors, city administrators, planning directors on the West Coast. I am perfectly happy here. But my opinion would be, if you were finding somebody with the 10, 15 years experience, they're nowhere near this salary. You're probably not getting somebody moving from out of the valley, relocating from Washington, California for this salary. So if you really want to bring in somebody with a lot of experience somewhere else, you probably are not here. We could talk about maybe more where, but not this, so.
So if I could just respond to that,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna lose all my thoughts.
But we,
Write it down, quick.
but we advertise it as
Yes.
such, not flexible depending on what you think your leadership is. And again, I'm on the fence. I don't know what to say, but my experience is that this can be either really good or it can be really bad for everybody involved. In all honesty, but we posted it as such, Jason. We
Can I-
didn't post it for whatever.
So we went through 50 applicants. Very few of them, a handful, had anything even close to. And the reason we had this much was we were hoping to find a few good that had this much. But to show what the needs were as you trained into the position. We had a person from Montana who had a few years, not the 10 or 15, and for, I don't remember what it was, 200,000 or 300,000, he would be willing to ask his wife if she would be willing to move here, and so we quickly moved on.
No, because he didn't call me back.
Yeah, I mean, it was a strange process, and normally I would say, because I've also hired, I don't even know how many thousands, and interviewed and been through all that process. No matter what the process is, there's always a risk. I could hire the best employee in the United States, and on their way here, they're killed in a car accident. There's always risk on whatever decision you make. And I'm trusting in the team that has done so much hard work for this city and on their expertise. And I'm hoping that the 4 gentlemen alongside me will trust with them also. I've only been here less than 3 months, and I am amazed at how much I've learned, but I'm not surprised. But my husband has asked me a couple times, has it been difficult? And I've said no, because my brain loves to learn. And when watching the second interview with when Jason was there and listening to her answers, I had my aha moment. And I believe it lasted an hour, and she was, every single question, strange ones, I was like, what's that got to do with? And she was just on, and I thought, that's what we need. This is the closest I've seen compared to what retired out of all the resumes that we received. And yet, she never got agitated. She never lost it. She never felt insulted. You know how you have that feeling when people are starting to get a little irritated? She was even keeled. And in the position that we're asking the 4 of you to agree on, you are dealing with so many different personalities and egos that as a city employee, you have to remain even keeled, but know your answers and be spot on. And if I can do it, she is much smarter than I am. Jason is too, I've admitted that. But no, I've got a lawyer, I've got an engineer, I've got a treasurer who have all said this is the person they would like to work with, so.
Okay.
Councilman Murray.
I don't think I've waited that long in 2 years.
You have been patient.
So this might come out jumbled because I was rolling around. First of all, you have to forgive us. It's not anything against you, but this is our duty. And if we were to hire or appoint the wrong person in this position, that's on us. We're the gatekeepers. And this is all we have, wherever it is, your resume, this thing, is all we have to go off of. We weren't a part of interview processes. We haven't sat down with you for an hour or 2 hours. So we don't have a gut feeling. And honestly, I've gone with my gut feeling a few times, and I have an ex-wife to account for it. Sometimes my gut's all wrong. If you hire the wrong person in private business, about the worst thing that can happen is you lose profit at the big 5. This is running a city. We're talking about running a city. All the implications that go along with that. All the responsibilities of state code. All the responsibilities of city code. All the factors that come in from dealing with senators and representatives and county commissioners. Everybody. Learning all of that. The personality, and that, so it's not just administration of the people who are under you. There are factors that come in from 360 degrees. And we're not talking about somebody with 10, 15, 20 years experience. I'd be happy if I just saw a couple of years as a deputy city clerk so that I knew that the person coming in at least understood the role of the city clerk. Now, I'm not questioning you or Amber or anybody, but we're going to rely upon our deputy city clerks to teach the new full-time city clerk what the job is. Do you see what I'm saying at all? And this is all we have to go off of. So there's probably more than that.
So just for clarification before we move forward, because this said city administrator, this will be clerk/administrator?
Yes.
Okay, because that is not the information that was sent.
The only way I knew it, it was on the top of the posting.
Okay, I missed
It is,
that.
advertised position, city administrator.
Right, clerk, okay, I looked right past that, sorry. Okay, move on. I looked right past that head.
I would still consider you for the position that you hold.
No, I wouldn't.
President Kaiser?
Councilman.
Can I say something?
Of course.
So I know that none of you were able to see my resume, and it's hard to get to know somebody. But one of the things that really stands out in my background is when I started my own business. So you can see that there's a preschool there. And when I started my own preschool, I did it out of need. I had 2 children, and I didn't want to commute down to my music therapy job to pay a nanny to watch my second child. So I opened up a preschool in our home, in our small town. And that kind of catapulted my entire career as far as being involved in the community as much as I was, and my passion for community-based work. So when I started my preschool, I had a couple children, and I went around to the different preschools in the area. And I was the person who had polo shirts with my logo engraved on them, just because I wanted to present everything very professionally. I went to the different preschools to introduce myself, and I had told everyone this in my interview, well, we don't usually go around to people and network with each other. And I said, well, when you get full, you're going to need someplace to refer business to. When I'm full, I'm going to need someplace to refer business to, as long as you're good. And so I really started to build that relationship. When I embarked on opening the preschool, I had to deal with the Department of Social Services, and I had a whole slew of compliance laws, policies, trainings, things that I had to provide for myself, create the content. I had to train my own employees that I had just in the in-home preschool part, and then deal with parents. So with the city, I've tried to correlate a little bit with my parents of the children that I took care of. Their greatest asset, right? The thing that they care about the most. And I did it very successfully. I was in my home for a very short time, and then I moved it to a bigger center, and I had to go to school to take a couple classes to be the program director, because in my degree I didn't have those administrative courses. I had to take all of those, and I opened up my preschool in a center and now service 30 children instead of 14. And that was because our community had a need. So I wanted to help with that need. In addition, going through grant money to get grants for playgrounds, grants for food programs, grants for items. I was the top rated preschool in the county of El Dorado County. You get a high rating and you get, computers and whatever you get. So that was something that I had a desire to do. I had a need that I wanted to fill with my own family, and it just exploded, because when I do something, I'm all in. I don't know anything about how the city works. I'm learning. I love it. I like the infrastructure. I always have been one of those people. But this is something that you just have to read through it. You just have to get to know the people you're going to be working with, because they're going to go alongside you, working with the deputy clerks. They're going to help raise you up. As a community, we have to do that. I've done it before, twice. I did it when I started at T-Sheets back then was bought out by Intuit. And I just kept climbing because I learn and I grow, and I just want to be the best that I can be. So on paper, I totally understand your reservation. Then I hear what people say, and I'm flattered. But it is a decision that, whatever the process is, and you guys have to make that. But if it's about learning, and it's about compensation, all that, it's something that I'm willing to dig in and give my everything for it, and hopefully be pleasantly surprised.
May I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Is this appropriate to ask questions? So, really, what is the reason that this job stood out to you, given you've not, well, I'm assuming you haven't been present at city meetings and things before. So what is it, what's the reason you're here?
Yep. So the only involvement I've ever been in as city council is at Eagle, because we live in Eagle, we've been there before. And then I'm the president of my HOA in the community that I live in, Eagle. So I've had on a small scale experience with community. I like it. I've been told by many people during meetings when there's confrontation, there's conflict that arises, like, wow, how did you handle that so well? I don't know how you did that. Well, we're just taking one thing at a time. I have a spreadsheet at home, even though I was taking care of my mother-in-law, still looking through, jobs, program manager jobs is really what I'm looking at, because that's what my world has been in. And I have alerts. And I have a family that comes from politics back in California. And so having some conversations kind of over the holidays, like, where do I really want to be? Right? I can't take care of my mother-in-law forever. So at some point I'm going to have to re-enter the workforce. What do I want to do? And I had told the story as well. I was speaking to a previous coworker from Intuit with a VP's name that had caused a lot of strife, right? And so she was asking me something, and I couldn't remember her name, the VP's name. This person who caused me all this strife for so long. And I'd only been away from them for about 2 months. And I thought, okay, you know what? This is not something that I think I want to go back to in the technology world, but what do I want to do? Where do I want to go? Because I can just pay the bills. I'm really good at what I did, and it makes a lot more money. But what do I really want to do? So that's when I started talking to family members. And we started, well, what about local politics? What about the city? My dad's like, you should work for the state. You'd be so great at it. And I just started looking. I have a spreadsheet with all the different websites, and I check them often, and when I check them, and I want to be involved in something bigger than me, but not so big that I get lost. Really am. I was kind of known as, like, no disrespect, I think I said this in the interview, but known as like the mayor of my town when I was in my small town in California, because you can't go to the grocery store without somebody, Miss Monica, can you help me with this? That's what they called me. I was known as Monica at Intuit by all of the managers that they would come to me for help, just because I want to walk people through their problems. I want them to get to the solution. And I was put in charge of many things where I was not the subject matter expert. Billing, compliance for taxes. That was not my forte, but I had to build content to train people on it and to train the experts on how to answer customers' questions. So I built it with people who had the knowledge and then just moved forward. So I kind of want to come down in my life and not be involved in a corporate monster. I want to be involved in something where I can just, something I think that's doable every day. In person with people. I've been at home for years.
Tim, do you have a?
Yeah, I just have one little concern. I really appreciate our staff supporting their decision. I value it immensely. Mm-hmm. But we're going to train you up, and obviously you climb very well in the corporate world. So are we going to train you up and lose you in a year?
I hope not.
I hope not too, because I don't want to invest in you and have you turn away.
No, when I first, the first time I came for the interview, Roberta had given me a list of, 8 departments to oversee, and I looked at that and thought, okay, that's a lot. And I left thinking, okay, that's a lot. But as I drove home, I'm looking at my husband's in construction, he's a project manager, so we're always talking about development and growth, and I'm looking at things, and back home I had a friend who had the water shedding company where they would do water on the construction sites. I'm looking at something, I thought, I wonder if that's in compliance with the code. Was this a job site? And then I started kind of shifting my brain that way, and then I laid there that night and I thought, this is a big job. Like, I have had a big job. I just came from Intuit, managing global programs across the world, right? Brazil, Mexico, France, all at the same time. And I thought, this is a lot. But I'm really excited. I can do this. And I think I can make a difference, and I can do it with people. I'm good with people. I am smart, but I really care. And I think I can do really well, and I want to fill the shoes. Sounds like Becky did an amazing job. I want to learn, and I want to keep going. I don't plan on going anywhere. I want to buy a house by the river.
And you're living this way?
Yeah. We want to buy a house by the river out like in Homedale, that area. And,
Or Middleton?
Middleton.
Yeah, we have a river.
The river runs through it, yes.
Yeah.
So a bit of a rhetorical comment, you don't need to respond. But a person with your background, and I found it interesting you didn't put any keywords or any information from the job post in your resume. Again, you can answer if you want, but I found that curious.
Honestly, it's because I really didn't know where I would fall within that job posting. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to put out the best of who I am, and if they can see past all of that and see through my qualifications that I do have, then I'm in. I want to interview. And when you go, I've been through a lot of different interviews, try to get through gatekeepers at different companies, and sometimes you have to try and manipulate your resume to fit something. And my mindset lately has been I'm not gonna do that. This is my resume, and if it fits, it fits. If it doesn't, then it doesn't.
Councilmember,
Councilmember Murray?
he had his hand up first.
I think Jason said that you had done some studying since your last interview. What have you been studying?
Well, I looked at each one of the council members to find out what is your background, and I think I've got teacher, real estate, Army. I listened to a podcast that you were on. Last year
You do podcasts?
You were on a YouTube podcast.
So black.
And superintendent,
No.
Tim does everything.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so just to like feel out, I don't know anything about the city, I don't know anything about the people. I asked the mayor, like, why did she run during my first interview, because I did not follow that. Yeah, so I did that, I looked through the website, and I thought, okay, how usable is it? If there was something to change, what would I change?
Would you change something?
On the
You wanted
website?
to start.
Oh, yeah, I would, and it's something about the navigation tool, the bottom down there, something didn't make sense to me. I was at Star DMV today, and they have a screen like this in the waiting room, and they had all these things like, nachos with the mayor, and coffee with the mayor and the teens, and I was like, oh, I wonder what our mayor's doing, I can't wait to find out, I can't wait to, yeah.
I can tell you what Chadwick's doing, but.
Do you want to know what I'm doing?
No, not you.
I also printed out your pictures, and it's on my desk at home. Roberta had sent me via Jason a directory, so I recognized Jenica and I recognized Amber. So just trying to learn faces and names, and that's what I mean, I'm excited. It's a lot, and so I thought, okay, if I can at least get some of these basic things down, the rest of it will just come.
Just for fun reference, I'm most proud of my airline background.
Of your what?
My airline, aviation background.
Okay.
That's the core of who I am, but real estate's a lot of fun too. So,
I'll read up on that sometime.
I was hoping the answer would be more along the lines of code and responsibilities, duties, pertinent to your position. And in my mind, it's not city administrator that I worry about. We have a city administrator. We need a city clerk. It's a very serious job with big ramifications if it's done poorly. One of the biggest things that I learned, very steep learning curve when you get put in one of these chairs, is surprise, surprise, you can't just do whatever you want in government. You always answer to somebody. Here at the city level, we answer to everyone. We are the lowest rung on that ladder. We answer to everybody above us. You want to do something? State of Idaho is Dillon's rule state, meaning that if we want to do something, the state has to give us the authority, the power to do it. And sometimes it's there, but you don't know it's there. You just have to find it. You have to comb through page after page after page of code, and it makes you want to fall asleep, it makes you want to jump off your roof. But that's how it gets done. So is that something that you feel that you can do? I mean, I had somebody call me about semi-trucks driving on Sawtooth Lake through the neighborhood. So I asked myself, do we have the authority to limit that? Because I know I've seen other places, other towns, other states where they say no tractor trailers on this road, right? Do we have that authority? And I spent a total of about 12 hours trying to find somewhere in code that gave us that authority, and finally I did. I finally sent out a text, I found it, yay! Is that something that you're willing to do?
Yes. I've done it in my resources that I have to deal with it into it. I did it when I started my own preschool. I mean, I had to do letter to the law because I had surprise inspections all the time. And if I wasn't compliant, they don't care if you didn't read it. You have to do these things. So in that situation, I would be pulling up the code that I thought it was in. I would be control Fing. I'd be looking for restrictions. I'd be looking for keywords so I could see if it honed me in there and researching that way.
May I speak to the positions, the legal positions?
Absolutely. And I just want to say something. When I ran for mayor, I just ran for mayor. When I won, then I got a copy of the book of codes, and read it twice, so on November or January 3rd, I would be somewhat prepared. For me, it was do one step at a time and do it to the best of my ability, and don't move on until you've gone through that step. So I can understand why you wouldn't have looked through all our codes yet. But
I will, but-
if they choose to appoint you, I would expect that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you're both learning the codes together, huh?
Nope, I got them. I got it. And if I don't, I have 3 wonderful people that I go to.
The only thing I'd want to say is to recognize the positions of city administrator versus city clerk. Becky Crofts was actually a unicorn, and she was very good as a city administrator, but the city clerk position, per our code says they have one duty, and that's to respond to public records requests. It's a document management position only. Becky was primarily a city administrator, and 0.0005% or less was actually city clerk duties. City clerk per the state code, when I looked that up, was to do the things that Jenica and Amber do, to manage and handle minutes, to handle these kind of hearings. But it is truly clerical and it's truly just documents. City administrator, on the other hand, making quick decisions, researching, managing, coordinating, totally different job from city clerk. So it is possible that one day soon, you would have a city administrator that just was like an Energizer bunny and keeping the city going, and then you would want a city clerk. But that city clerk is only gonna do document management and handling these hearings here, minutes, and posting ordinances and getting the public published. That's what the law says on city clerk. Becky confused the two. She conflated them a lot. So you couldn't see where city clerk stopped and city administrator started. Here, if we have another city clerk, there will be a distinct line.
Well, I understand that, but at the same time, if Amber or Jenica is to make a mistake, that doesn't rest on them. They're not the city clerk. She would be the city clerk.
Indeed.
So we have some, do you see my point? Is that the ramifications, no matter who does them, she's the clerk. The
It's
buck
state
stops with her.
required.
So my point is that if you don't know the job that you're responsible for, that the buck stops with you at,
Well, per our code, the city clerk job is described in one sentence to respond to public records requests, per our code. Per the state code, the city clerk's job is about 2 or 3 sentences. Do minutes, publish ordinances. I mean, you could learn it in 10 minutes. I mean, you have to know how to call the newspaper and set up it's not a hard job at all. It's a time-oriented job, it's a legal job. It is not hard, it's document management. City administrator, every day is like a city on fire. It's like, you don't know what's gonna hit you every day, and so you're looking more at the person for city administrators. This is the type of person that can handle crazy stuff comes in our doors sometimes. City clerk, draft minutes, publish ordinances, respond to public records requests. That's it. And it wouldn't be a terribly high-paying job either, the actual city clerk job.
Well, again, the job posting says and, administrator and.
And this one is conflating the two. So we're requesting that she be hired for both positions. One day it might be torn apart and then you would have a city clerk, but it is a clerical position. A smart clerical position. You have to be organized. But that's the code.
President Kaiser, I know you need to go.
Yeah, I gotta get going here. I'm short time. So,
Can I just ask one question?
please go ahead.
Is there a way that we can have a shorter review period? You know, again, not a matter of trust, not anything, it's just a series of gates that we get through before the end of the day.
So that falls, and I gotta turn to legal on this one, that falls on us, correct? Could we stipulate a review? Or how would we legally, how does that happen?
So, Mayor, I think
council can call to account any officer of the city at any time.
They can. Mayor and council, it's an appointed position as prescribed by the state code. So as in the same way that you would designate or vote an appointment, you could also unappoint in the same way. I think that would likely be the process to kind of fulfill your goal. I know you're trying to maybe
Well, we
present
have
it-
no way of monitoring the progress of the employee.
You'd have to trust the people that work with them.
Well, I
Yeah.
realize that, but are they gonna come running to council and then give us a review of that some form of
I
process?
would. You have my word on that.
Okay.
And then-
Yeah. So, council, I'll be honest, came in here after reading the resume, not meeting, listening to anybody, like literally, I'm sorry. This is what I got. Come to a meeting. That's all I know. So I come in with the mindset, and my mindset's been changed, I'm not gonna lie. I clearly, after especially listening to staff, I put a lot of weight in what the staff has to say. So I have a different mindset than I did before I hit the door. Let's just put it that way. So I don't know where council sits on that.
Let's find out.
Let's find out is right, all right? Then I'll make a motion. I move that we consider the mayor's appointment of Monica Hobbs as the city administrator / city clerk.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Jenica, roll call, please.
Council President Kaiser,
Yes.
Councilmember Christiansen,
Yes,
Councilmember Murray,
Stand by.
Councilmember O'Meara.
Yes.
Yes. From Murray.
So we have a yes from Murray, so motion passes.
Can I clarify the motion?
Yes.
Did you approve, and you approved the
Yes,
mayor's
I
appointment?
approved.
Thank you.
We have nobody signed up for public comments, Mayor, so you can take over from here.
Okay, I moved, okay.
So
I have no comments.
I have no comments.
So I
so
move
gotta
that
get
we,
going.
end the meeting.
4:03 PM. All right.
Second.
I got the Meridian. How much time?
Congratulations,
Thank you for your
Monica.
time.
Good luck.
I gotta run to Meridian.